I remember it like it was yesterday. It was one of those endless, deserted highways, the only illumination coming from the car's headlights and a sky heavy with stars. The engine hummed steadily, almost hypnotically, while my friends slept, lulled by the fatigue of the journey. I had been driving for hours, my eyes growing heavy, when I saw him. A lone figure stood by the roadside, his thumb outstretched, asking for a ride. He wore a worn-out military uniform and a faded cap, like someone lost in time. Something about him made me hesitate, but maybe it was just exhaustion playing tricks on me. Being a former soldier myself, I felt an obligation to help. Without overthinking, I pulled over. He got in without a word except for a brief, hoarse thanks. His voice was rough, like he hadn't spoken to anyone in days. He closed the door calmly and settled into the back seat, clutching an old backpack between his feet. In the rearview mirror, I got a better look at his face, pale, gaunt, with sunken, dark eyes. He stared out the window, unfocused. But what unsettled me the most was his breathing, slow, deliberate, almost calculated. As we drove, something gnawed at me. He never asked where we were going, never checked his phone, just sat there, his grip tightening around his backpack. At one point, I noticed him subtly glancing toward the glove compartment, as if trying to see what was inside. My hands tightened around the steering wheel. My friends started waking up, exchanging discreet glances. The silence in the car stretched, thick and uncomfortable. To break it, I asked him where he was coming from. South, he replied curtly, and nothing more. I tried to get more out of him, but his answers were clipped, devoid of detail. Something wasn't right. After a few more miles, I needed to stop for gas. As soon as I pulled into the station, the hitchhiker tensed. His grip tightened around his backpack like it contained something valuable or dangerous. The attendant approached the car, glanced at our passenger, and visibly paled. Leaning toward me, he murmured, "That guy, he looks like the fugitive from the news. Are you sure you know who he is?" My blood ran cold. Thinking fast, I made up an excuse for my friends and said we needed to stretch our legs. As soon as we stepped out, I signaled the attendant to call the police. Keeping my composure, I bought a bottle of water and watched the hitchhiker through the window. He fidgeted in his jacket pockets, his eyes darting around nervously. "Yeah, I saw his face on TV," the attendant whispered. "Killed someone 2 towns over. Stabbed them. Just be careful." Minutes later, a police car pulled into the station. The moment the sirens cut out, the man bolted for the door, but the officers were faster. He struggled, yelling incoherent phrases. His backpack fell to the ground, spilling out fake IDs, cash, and a knife. We left as soon as the police had him under control. No one spoke for a while. But when I got home, curiosity got the best of me. I searched online for news about the fugitive, and I found nothing. No reports, no mugshots. No alerts matching his description. I still think about it sometimes. About how we could have ended up just another statistic. About how my instincts screamed at me, but I almost wasn't smart enough to listen. And the scariest part? To this day, I don't know exactly who he was, only that he wasn't supposed to be there. It was supposed to be a simple family road trip. A long stretch of empty highway, nothing but darkness beyond the reach of our headlights. My parents were in the front, my little brother asleep beside me in the back. The hum of the tires on the road had lulled us into a comfortable silence, until the car appeared behind us. At first, it was just another pair of headlights in the distance, approaching slowly. But something felt off. The car wasn't just following us, it was mimicking our speed, staying just far enough away to keep from passing, but close enough that its presence was unnerving. My mom noticed it first. "That car's been behind us for a while now," she said, her voice tight. My dad adjusted the rearview mirror, his expression hardening. It's probably just someone heading the same way. Then the car suddenly sped up, coming dangerously close before falling back again. The headlights flashed once, twice. It wasn't an accident. My dad tried to shake them. He switched lanes, slowed down, even pulled off onto a side road for a few minutes before merging back onto the highway. But the car was still there. Always watching, always waiting. The tension in the car was suffocating. My little brother, now awake, clung to my arm. My mom was gripping the dashboard so hard her knuckles turned white. Maybe it's just some jerk messing with us, I offered, though I didn't believe it. My dad's jaw tightened. Or maybe it's something worse. Then, the car behind us did something that made my blood run cold. It turned off its headlights. We were still moving at 70 miles per hour, and now we couldn't see them, only the vague outline of a dark vehicle keeping pace with us in the blackness. My dad pressed harder on the gas. "Just stay calm," he muttered, though his knuckles were tight around the steering wheel. Up ahead, we saw a gas station with a police car parked near the entrance. Without hesitating, my dad swerved into the station and pulled up right next to the officer. The dark car kept going, speeding past us into the night. The officer stepped out, already sensing something was wrong. My mom practically jumped out of the car, frantically explaining what had happened. The officer's face darkened as he listened. "You were lucky," he said. "There have been reports about a vehicle matching that description in this area. People being run off the road. Some don't make it." My stomach twisted. We waited at the station for a while, letting the fear settle before deciding it was safe to continue. The officer offered to follow us for a stretch of the highway, and we gladly accepted. Just as we were pulling back onto the road, I glanced down the highway in the direction the dark car had disappeared. For a split second, I thought I saw it again, parked just beyond the glow of the streetlights, waiting. And in that moment, I knew we weren't the first ones they followed. And we wouldn't be the last. We didn't stop again until morning. Sometimes, the scariest part of a road trip isn't what's ahead of you, but what's following behind. If you enjoyed these stories, don't forget to subscribe for more terrifying tales. And remember, the next time you're driving down an empty road late at night, check your mirrors. You never know who or what might be watching.